Rose McGowan has put Oprah on blast.
He seemingly suggested in the caption that Oprah knew the Hollywood producer was mistreating women.
And if we make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment.
No, they eat babies. That is not bullshit. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood.
So there's secret rooms. They got secret rooms.
Go on, tell me, how do I find the secret?
So when you go in the secret rooms, because they hide it in loads of places, they tie string around and then they put it all around the body, but they're naked and they got this tattoo on the private with like little piercings.
So in worshiping the devil, participated in human sacrifice rituals and cannibalism.
The ritualistic behaviors, the thing, putting girls in the suitcases.
Yo, so why am I hearing that Oprah had a school for girls and one of them went missing?
These are my girls. These are my girls.
50 Cent has publicly identified what he describes as long-protected predators within the entertainment industry, and he has directed much of his criticism toward Oprah Winfrey. For some time now, he has questioned why certain powerful figures have seemingly escaped accountability, while victims connected to Jeffrey Epstein allege they were silenced. He is now drawing a direct line between that culture of protection and some of the most prominent names in show business. This development follows closely on the heels of 50 Cent's announcement that he is considering producing a documentary about Jay-Z, whose name surfaced in recently declassified Epstein files. While he stopped short of making definitive claims, he made it abundantly clear that he is closely monitoring who is being mentioned in these disclosures and who is not. Adding further tension to the situation is the fact that Oprah Winfrey's name has also appeared in Epstein-related documents. While this alone does not constitute evidence of wrongdoing, it does raise legitimate questions about the nature and extent of those associations. It is worth noting that the relationship between Oprah and 50 Cent has been contentious for years. The public is now eager to understand precisely whom 50 Cent is referring to when he speaks of protection at the highest levels, and what specifically he believes Oprah may have concealed. Let us examine the details.
As well, a dog and a cat with interesting names, to say the least.
Yeah. That's Oprah.
That's Oprah. Okay. Named after the Oprah, and your cat's name is?
And Gail.
Gail, okay, Gail.
Jay-Z is invariably the first name raised in this discourse. The rivalry between Jay-Z and 50 Cent is well documented and long-standing. The recently released Epstein documents reveal that Jay-Z's name appears in an FBI crisis intake report dated 2019, which functions essentially as a tip line record. An anonymous individual alleged that in 1996, they awoke in what they believed to be Epstein's residence, alongside Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein. For some observers, Jay-Z's appearance in anything connected to Epstein does not come as a surprise. They point to his well-known associations, most notably with Sean Diddy Combs. As is widely known, 50 Cent subjected Diddy to relentless public ridicule following his legal troubles. He did not merely post jokes online, he went so far as to develop a full documentary on the subject, which speaks volumes about how seriously he regards these industry issues. Yet even since Diddy's incarceration, Jay-Z has remained notably silent on the matter. Given their years of close association, that silence has struck many observers as conspicuous. There is more to consider. Long-standing allegations suggest that Jay-Z began his relationship with Beyoncé when she was still a minor. There are also claims regarding a previous involvement with Foxy Brown when she was just 16 years old. These are allegations and speculations that have circulated for years. They have consistently been denied or dismissed, yet they have never entirely dissipated. Then there is the unresolved matter surrounding Kathy White, whom some online commentators claim was pregnant with Jay-Z's child prior to her tragic passing. Most recently, in the past year, both Jay-Z and Diddy were named in a lawsuit alleging the molestation of a 13-year-old girl. Both have categorically denied any wrongdoing. However, when allegation is layered upon allegation, public perception begins to shift, regardless of whether formal charges are sustained.
Footage has surfaced from Africa, where Jay-Z has been accused of running child safaris for Jeffrey Epstein's VIP associates and the global elite.
Whoa, you put that thing on the whoa!
You see how we do it here on Saturday, just as good as you see how we do it here on Saturday, just as good as.
Now, where does Oprah enter in all this?
So where does Oprah factor into all of this? Oprah Winfrey and Jay-Z cultivated a very public rapport following his 2009 appearance on The Oprah Winfrey Show.
Known
for not being a big fan of rap music because of misogynist lyrics and because of the use of the N-word. You obviously feel differently, and a little bit.
She praised him openly, described him as charming, and even credited him with transforming her perspective on hip-hop culture. Consequently, when 50 Cent speaks of protection at the highest levels, people naturally scrutinize those relationships. Then there is Harvey Weinstein. Jay-Z and his organization, Roc Nation, were involved in commercial partnerships with the Weinstein Company. At the time, these collaborations were framed as meaningful storytelling, compelling content, and engagement with vital social issues. However, after Weinstein's sexual assault charges surfaced in 2017, every professional connection was re-examined through a very different lens.
Jay-Z and Beyoncé's home searched amidst recent allegation.
Tonight, the Department of Justice releasing their final batch of files.
And the millions of newly released Justice Department records
connected to the late convicted senator Jeffrey Epstein.
They include Epstein's messages with powerful men.
Be fun. Yelling at me, fun of me. You're the only one who ever yelled at me and got away with it. And I take it any time from you. I want to see him get it.
And your thoughts on Donald Trump and what it means for what it means for mass incarceration.
You know what? This is a labor of love for Jay, and as a result, he's my friend. We're here to talk about that and nothing else.
Then can I ask about mass incarceration? And do you think the movement is okay?
What did it say Jay-Z did? He was there in 1996? Come on, people.
And here's some.
There is a detail that many people tend to overlook. In October 2017, when Weinstein issued a public statement responding to the allegations against him, he paraphrased what he claimed was a Jay-Z lyric from the album 444. He stated, "I'm not the man I thought I was, and I better be that man for my children." The problem is that this particular quote does not appear anywhere in the song or on the album. Multiple media outlets flagged this discrepancy at the time. So here we have Weinstein invoking Jay-Z's name in the midst of a major scandal, misquoting him and dragging him into a public apology that was already disintegrating. When the charges against Weinstein became public, Oprah, who had also maintained a publicly warm relationship with him, described the moment as a watershed moment. Consider the implications of that phrasing. A man facing dozens of severe accusations, and the terminology employed was watershed moment. It was seemingly suggested in a caption that Oprah was aware the Hollywood producer had been mistreating women, with the implication reading, "You had heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially assaulting young, starry-eyed actresses."
54-year-old singer shared this meme of Oprah kissing Harvey Weinstein on Wednesday that read, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you're the solution." He seemingly suggested in the caption that Oprah knew the Hollywood producer was mistreating women, writing, "You'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially assaulting young starry-eyed actresses."
The public did not receive that response favorably. To many, it resembled damage control. Given that Oprah had documented appearances and cordial exchanges with Weinstein over the years, her response was subjected to intense scrutiny. Once again, proximity does not equate to culpability. However, in this broader conversation about protection at the top, proximity is a recurring theme. This naturally leads to another name that consistently surfaces whenever Epstein is discussed: Bill Clinton. This is not merely an internet rumor, there is substantive documentation. Clinton did fly on Epstein's private aircraft. That fact is confirmed in the flight logs. Between 2002 and 2003, he undertook multiple overseas trips on that plane. When those flights are broken down into individual flight legs, his name appears 26 times. Many of those entries were simply segments of the same journeys. Nevertheless, once that figure began circulating, it became firmly embedded in public consciousness. Those excursions included destinations such as Bangkok, Brunei, Rwanda, Russia, and China. Ghislaine Maxwell's name also appears on some of those same flight logs, listed under the initials GM. There are also vintage photographs of Epstein and Maxwell attending a White House-affiliated reception in the early 1990s at which Clinton was present. Additionally, Epstein contributed funds connected to Clinton fundraising efforts during that period.
Clinton's representatives do not deny the flights. They have acknowledged them, stating that he traveled for foundation-related work and had no knowledge of Epstein's criminal activities. They have also asserted that he never visited Epstein's island. Here is the relevant point. Oprah has conducted full-length interviews with Bill Clinton on her platform. He has been featured on her show. They have shared stages, participated in public lectures, and engaged in warm, collegial exchanges. Again, none of this constitutes proof of wrongdoing, but in discussions about elite networks and who provides platforms to whom, these associations are inevitably raised. And once one enters that analytical framework, the next name that invariably emerges is Bill Gates, because unlike internet speculation, this connection is grounded in verifiable interactions that have been extensively reported on for years.
I was foolish to spend time with him. I was one of many people who regret ever knowing him. Every minute I spent with him, I regret and I, apologize that I did that.
There are some really weird details coming out about Bill Gates' rocky relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. One day, Epstein is offering to get Bill Gates a Nobel Peace Prize through his connections, and then the next day, he's blackmailing Gates about his affair.
To briefly connect this back to Oprah, she has interviewed Bill Gates on multiple occasions, and he has been featured prominently in the mainstream philanthropy and intellectual discourse that she is renowned for platforming. Once again, the same pattern emerges that people continue to highlight. Powerful individuals, the same circles, the same machinery of respectability. With regard to Gates, the Epstein connection is not speculative. Gates has acknowledged meeting with Epstein on multiple occasions between 2011 and 2014, including visits to Epstein's Manhattan residence. Gates' consistent position has been that these meetings pertain to philanthropy, global health initiatives, fundraising strategies, and social dinners. He has maintained that he never visited Epstein's island. The Gates Foundation has also addressed the association following document releases and has denied any financial payments to Epstein. Despite all of these explanations, public skepticism persists. A significant reason for this is that Melinda French Gates has publicly stated that Bill Gates needs to account for the lingering questions about why he was engaging with Epstein in the first place. She has also indicated that his association with Epstein was among the factors that contributed to their divorce in 2021, and that she had harbored concerns about it much earlier, dating back to approximately 2011.
Questions remain there of what I can't even begin to know all of it. Those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer those things.
And finally, there is the matter of Richard Branson. Branson has also appeared in Epstein-related reporting and documents over the years. Newly revealed files indicate communications from approximately 2013, suggesting that Branson and Epstein had interactions. Branson's representatives have maintained that these meetings were limited to group or professional settings, and that he severed contact once he understood the full scope of Epstein's activities. That is their official position, but once again, it is a question of proximity. This is where Oprah re-enters the picture. Oprah interviewed Richard Branson. She publicly lauded him, featured him on her platforms, and shared stages with him, just as she did with Jay-Z, just as she did with Bill Clinton, and exactly as she did with Bill Gates. So when 50 Cent speaks of powerful people protecting powerful people, the public does not simply hear random names. They envision the circle: billionaires, media icons, political leaders, and entertainment moguls. And according to 50 Cent, Oprah was aware of a great deal and chose to remain silent.
Also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time. I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. I had nightmares about it afterwards.
So you're sitting down there having cocktails while Bill Clinton's getting a massage from some girl who's rubbing her tits against the back of his head, whether knowingly or unknowingly having sex with underage girls.
Everybody wants to be.
Maybe some guys, that was their thing.
Sure.
Does it seem like with Epstein, that was his thing?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan recently stunned his audience by publicly disclosing that some of his close personal friends were named in the Epstein files. This revelation came after the United States Department of Justice released a substantial new tranche of information connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Just days ago, the Department of Justice made available more than 3 million pages of documentation, along with approximately 2,000 video recordings and nearly 180,000 photographs relating to Epstein-connected investigations. Many of these materials were heavily redacted. Nevertheless, even with names filtered out and identifying features obscured, a distinct pattern emerges. Political figures, billionaires, corporate executives, and even members of the British royal family appear repeatedly connected to Epstein, including in the period following his incarceration. These were not casual encounters. The evidence includes travel records, internal emails, contact lists, sworn declarations, and video footage showing the same prominent individuals appearing in Epstein's orbit year after year.
All the information that's getting disclosed, supposedly this administration, what do you have the least faith that we're going to come to
Epstein,
a conclusion?
for sure.
Epstein.
And I think it's because of Israel.
I think that because when you really dig into Epstein, his entire network was Israel. It was clearly. Like Ehud Barak was the ex-prime minister and the ex-head of Israeli intelligence. Leslie Wexner was one of the most powerful pro-Israeli philanthropists. The whole organization was Israel.
So
and I'm not saying it was all of Israel.
It was all an intelligence gathering and
it was targeting Americans. It was targeting American officials and the American president.
Right.
And the CIA does have interest in those targets too. Elements in the CIA does. Certainly they had help from the CIA and certainly they had help from these other organized crime and intelligence operations. But you don't so for example, Dan Bongino, the new, deputy director of the FBI? He recently had this clip that went all around where he said on camera that he had a source that he trusted deeply. And he's an informed guy. He was at a Fox News interview, and the source told him that Epstein was working for an intelligence agency in the Middle East. And I don't know which one, but someone in the Middle East. And to be fair, we all already knew this. We already know who he worked for. At least I think so. But I'm looking at, okay, Dan, so if this giant group of Jewish billionaires is running a sex trafficking operation targeting American politicians and business people and stuff, you think they're working with an Arab or Muslim nation in the Middle East? Like, you think that Leslie Wexner is devoting his entire life to philanthropies on behalf of Israel, but then he's going to work for Saudi Arabia when he's doing this trafficking?
What makes this revelation even more alarming is that Joe Rogan believes he received warnings about Little St. James long before the general public became aware. According to Rogan, Alex Jones had been cautioning him for years that something deeply sinister was taking place on that island. Jones asserted that the island was not merely a luxurious retreat for the elite, but rather a location where powerful individuals were being entrapped through compromising scenarios. At the time, Rogan dismissed these claims as hyperbolic and implausible. In retrospect, he now believes that very reaction, the instinct to dismiss, is precisely what makes the entire situation so profoundly unsettling.
Democrats released those emails obtained from the Epstein estate, showing the convicted sex offender discussing Trump and seeming to suggest he had information he never shared. In a 2011 exchange with his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein writing the quote, "dog that hasn't barked is Trump," adding one of his victims spent hours with Trump at Epstein's home, but that Trump had never once been mentioned. Maxwell replying, "I have been thinking about that." House Republicans in the White House identifying the victim as Virginia Giuffre, who once worked at Trump's spa at Mar-a-Lago. Giuffre said she never saw Trump do anything inappropriate. She died by suicide earlier this year. In a 2018 text exchange, someone whose name is redacted wrote to Epstein, "It will all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that." The context of the message is unclear, but Epstein responding, "It's wild because I am the one able to take him down." Trump and Epstein were friends for more than a decade.
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
After spoken to him in 15 years. He insists he broke off the friendship when he learned Epstein and Maxwell were luring away young female staffers who worked at Mar-a-Lago.
He stole people that worked for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it.
In a 2019 email to author Michael Wolff, Epstein writing, "Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever." Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop.
With the most recent document release, elements that previously appeared disjointed are beginning to coalesce into a coherent picture. What is particularly disturbing is how many of these names had already surfaced years ago, only to be immediately dismissed. The media largely classified them as coincidences or unsubstantiated rumors. Now, those same names are reappearing, this time supported by documented timelines, patterns of frequent communication, and direct connections to Jeffrey Epstein's network.
If I had to guess, there's too much circumstantial evidence that leads me to believe that it was an assassination. You know, I know a lot of people think that he committed, a lot of very smart people that I know think he committed suicide. I'm like, there's too many convenient things. The cut wires, the security cameras rather, not working. They weren't cut, right? They just stopped. They didn't function. Security cameras didn't function. The fact that he had shared a cell with this giant former cop who was a murderer, who had multiple people, just giant roided up cop. Like, this is a cellmate. Like, if you wanted to get somebody, hey, look, bro, extra Twinkies, take this guy out. Like, it wouldn't be hard. He's already killed a bunch of people. He was a drug dealer. Do you ever see the guy? Do you ever see the guy who was his cellmate?
No, but it's like
it's kind of hilarious.
It's like when you're a freshman in college and they just put you with somebody, you know?
Bro, if you wanted to get someone killed, you have a high profile witness, okay? High profile witness in the craziest trafficking conspiracy of all time, where a guy who may or may not have been an intelligence asset or an intelligence agent or whatever the fuck he was for whatever country, this guy he's arrested for trafficking to elites, and then you put him in jail.
Oh my God.
With that guy.
I thought that was the guy that fought Mike Tyson. Remember that dude who read that poem?
Bro, you put him in jail with that guy. All you have to do is get that guy cigarettes and steroids. You tell him, I got you Marlboro Reds and Tren. I got you testosterone replacement for life, even though you're going to still be in jail.
I got you some Marlboro and Test 200s.
Dude, he was found guilty of 4 men, and they put him in a cell with Epstein. Look at the size of that savage.
Big guy.
Giant muscle-bound, steroided up dude, and they put him in a cell with Epstein, and Epstein got strangled.
Epstein might have been.
Not Sherlock Holmes, but I think there might be a connection there.
Epstein was probably trying to slurp him. I bet that dude was such a pervert, dude.
Well, if he didn't kill him, then somebody.
I bet he was such a pervert.
I think somebody. Retired Westchester cop charged with and cocaine deal after bodies dug up on his property. Bro, he buried them in his backyard.
Yeah.
That's a crazy motherfucker.
Or that's a good gardener.
One of the most controversial names to emerge from the files is Bill Gates. The documents contain a photograph of Gates alongside a woman whose face has been redacted. There are also reportedly emails between Gates and Epstein that allegedly discuss Gates's desire to conceal a sexually transmitted infection from his wife, following encounters purportedly involving young Russian women. Once these emails became public, Gates swiftly refuted the allegations, characterizing them as absurd and inaccurate. He suggested that Epstein was attempting to damage his reputation, and referenced a 2013 email in which he claimed Epstein falsely accused him of attempting to deliver medications to Melinda Gates. However, this is precisely where Joe Rogan contends that the narrative does not hold together. If Epstein was blackmailing these individuals, why did they continue meeting with him repeatedly? And how did he maintain such effortless access to some of the most powerful people in the world? Rogan believes there is a far more significant explanation behind all of it.